welcome back to another episode of Customerland. Today, I have the honor of speaking with Gopi Polavarapu, who is Chief Solutions Officer at Core AI. And if you pay attention to the technology sector or the food service technology sector, frankly, so many other sectors, you'll see Core AI's name pop up in the news because of some of their recent successes. So I'm really excited to have this conversation with you, Gopi. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
So I'm wondering if you can, to set context for the rest of the conversation, tell us a little bit in your own words about what Core AI is about and what you do, kind of the solutions you're providing out in the marketplace.
So let me introduce Core and then I'll switch to my introduction. So Core is about a 10-year-old company founded by Raj Koneru, who is a serial entrepreneur. This is his sixth company. The last company that he sold was Coney Solutions, who built a low-code, no-code mobile app building solutions. So when he started the journey in 2014, his vision was to create a conversational AI company with low-code, no-code tools for a business user to build solutions on top, because the business users are the one that are close to the customer, and the tech teams are completely isolated. They did not know how to handle, the customer interaction. So that's why the company Core AI is founded with this low code, no code tool for the business user to start building conversational AI and automate those things back in 2014. At that time, the market was not evolved. Raj, spearheaded this space and he developed this market with key customers like, a large bank who has been using our product for the last 7, 8 years. So they've been really helpful in incubating the solution from day one. And now they're able to pull 300 million sessions a year, automating pretty much every other transaction that they get, seeing 80% containment rate of their conversational banking use cases. So that's how the journey started. And then as the chat GPT kind of hit everyone with the surprise of AI and how to use it at scale. So customers' expectation of chatbots 1.0, which was not a success because all menu driven, people didn't like it. The CSATs went down. But when ChatGPT came up, people started thinking, holy shit, I can do these things. I can leverage this technology back again. And how do I use this thing with generative AI? So that's when Core AI adopted the generative AI technology and added LLMs to our core functionality of how we do products and build products. And that enabled us to do a lot more cool things with conversational AI. So generative AI is kind of helping conversational AI to drive better conversations with the customers, better conversations with the employees within the four walls. So that is how we use the technology to grow the company. And now, 10 years later, we are $100 million in ARR as a company. We've raised over close to $300 million in the investment so far. We're continuing to grow 100% year on year for the last 3 years. So it's a great time to be in the space, and Core is the place to be in when it comes to conversational and generative AI in solving AI problems of work.
It sure sounds like it.
That's about Core. Just give you my role at Core. So I am a Chief Solution Officer. What we do is we're trying to productize AI for industries, verticals, and horizontal solutions like IT automation, HR automation, or use cases that are prevalent in like retail, like order status, Vismo, returns, things that are common, that are repetitive across the industry. We're trying to find those things and pre-build these AI solutions and productize those things so that we're taking a solution up to 80 to 90%, and then it can be customized to the customer's need in enterprise case. That is what our team does. And these are the solutions we're building, whether it's the food or the food industry you talked about, or it's the retail industry you talked about. And that is what my team does.
Interesting. If I caught this correctly, you were saying that Core introduced LLMs into the mix recently, or was that the dates were confusing because if I understood correctly, it's a fairly recent introduction, which would have been hugely transformative in a short period of time.
So the way we did is we had this 3 NLU algorithm that we developed. It's a patented technology where we were leveraging fundamental meaning and machine learning and knowledge graph in order to identify the intent of what the user was saying. And that is how we were doing. And we had a lot of transformer models being built from a machine learning perspective. So we were using these machine learning transformer models earlier on. But we were trying OpenAI with their older versions of ADA models, the older versions that they had, and we were playing with those things. But 3.5 literally, pulled the rug of under everyone that it's really able to understand what the user is saying and are able to articulate and generate the content. So we've been working with them, but all of a sudden the tech has shown tremendous results, and that is why because we've been working with machine learning as this 3NLE model, so we were already there working on those models. All of a sudden, we see the models perform extremely well. Earlier, we used to see the ranking and resolving could happen with fundamental meaning. Sometimes it could be knowledge graph, depending on the training you gave. But with the generative AI, machine learning can win almost every day, unless there are custom words that they use.
Right.
Like they have a signature card or they have a menu on their food menu that's not trained by the generative AI. Otherwise, it's machine learning winning because all we did was we changed that machine learning model from transformer into an LLM. So that is what we did from an intent identification perspective. But when it comes to the language generation, generative AI still is like sometimes hallucinates a lot. So there is underlying problems that it brings, like examples of Air Canada, examples of Chevy bots who talked about saying, the competition's product is better than this because there were not proper guardrails there.
Right.
So we started using from an intent recognition perspective with a few shot, zero shot models. Then when the response comes back, whether we use generative AI, where it can have a natural conversations in a case of food ordering, where it's more complex, people, you cannot really programmatically define it because there's multiple permutations and combinations. That is where we use generative AI, but we always have response rephrasing control when it comes to the guardrails that allows us to adopt this technology faster because of the platform capabilities we build over the years using machine learning as the main one of the three NLUs. That's what made us so fast in adopting the technology and enable it. And we have customers now. Pretty much 50% of our net new customers are deploying LLM based solutions using generative AI.
Are they doing it in a low code, no code basis? Is that still the way this platform works?
That is correct. So we we enable low code, no code on two aspects. One is building the conversations in the journey of a customer from a CX, but there is also another low code, no code that we are providing. We have launched a new platform called Gale that enables you to take an open source model or a commercial model, fine tune the model with your data based on all the interactions that you had with the customers in the past from a contact center perspective or from a pre-sales perspective, and you're teaching the models better in a low code basis and then building applications on top of it to deliver the value of generative AI. So we strongly believe low code, no code is critical because you have to take the capabilities to the customer service people so that they can ingest all this data
Right.
in a low code, no code way so that the tech teams are all looking at how do I do the AI ops on the model and manage the models rather than trying to go and do the work. So that is what we're doing really well in enabling the tech teams with the tech stack. At the same time, you're enabling the business users with what they need so that they can accomplish their tasks.
It's an interesting transformation from the way so many IT departments and customer service operations have conceived of and used the tools they've been given over the years. With your platform, you're putting so much more control in the hands of the actual customer facing, or just say call it the end users
Yeah.
of the tech. It has to have meant pretty significant changes on the inside of those companies as well, in order to try and figure out, how best to integrate and then deploy this. It seems to me like you've been, what's a kind way of saying this? You've been responsible for upsetting a lot of the apple cart with the way that you're doing business in a very good way, clearly. But having spoken with so many of the users of these kinds of technologies, um, rearranging people's skill sets and cultures in a way to really get the utility and leverage them well is always a challenge, it seems. I'd love to hear from your perspective if you think that's a true assessment or not, and if it is, how you overcome that. Is it just because the value proposition is so good and so big that companies are forced to just kind of wholesale say, we'll figure out what we need to do? Or is there some better way of approaching it?
I mean, a lot of our customers have accepted this as a welcome thing because a lot of the times, the people that are on the tech side probably do not know what their brand means. Most of the marketing teams, most of the customer support teams know what their brand means and what it means for customers. How do you treat the customers differently? So a lot of these subtle things are very important when you develop a conversation design on how you want to treat a customer, what the flows are. So that is critical. So can you still hear me? There's a lot of background noise.
Yeah, it's a little echoey. Uh,
Okay. Can
let's
you hear
try.
me now?
Yeah, that's better. Thanks.
Awesome. So that's what we're seeing, where every company wants to create themselves differentiation when it comes to customer support and marketing on their website. So their business users are much more eager to be part of the development of the product. For example, with the low code, no code tools, we've enabled customer service department be part of the product development. As an example, if you look at our platform, it's almost like script writing. So you go and say, okay, here is what I said, here is what the bot says, here is what the customer says, here is what the bot says, right? So they can start writing that in plain English. And then from there, what developers do is, in the backend, for example, where is an order, as an example. So that is a very simple thing. And you may want to have your own, way of communicating to the customer, but on the backend, there is an API to be talked to.
Right.
So there is a partnership between the customer service department and the engineering now, where customer service is defining the flows, but the engineering is going and looking at what API calls should I connect to now to accomplish that use case. So it's not like we're isolating those teams completely, but we're enabling both the players to get the best from both of those teams, so that it's a joint collaboration that happens from day one. Because what matters when you call a customer support is what you hear. That is what matters, right? So, and that is what people perceive. Am I talking to a bot? Is it human enough for me to have a conversation with it, or should I just say, just get me an agent? Because
Right.
most
Right.
of us are not used to talking to the bot. I don't want to talk to bot personally. I want to get to a human as quickly as we can. But that is not the case anymore. Even OpenAI just showed their coolest demos they have. We are seeing human emotion is now getting part of the TTS, the text to speech engines these days, where you really don't know a difference between whether you're talking to a human or you're talking to a bot. So, and all of these things are coming into hand as you include people from the customer service side, where they want to bring their brand and their values and their culture into those communication. That is why this has actually helped us quite well when it comes to deploying it faster, quicker for customers in their own
Yeah.
way.
I mean, just as you're saying this, I can see that, um, of course, the efficiencies to the end user and the way customers are addressed in those kinds of situations, but the obvious efficiencies between the development team and the CX team, the CS team, those kinds of collaborations are rare if they've ever been possible at all. So I
Yes,
think what you've enabled there is a pretty big deal, which might even be the main value proposition is look what we can now do by enabling the end users to have a voice in guiding the development of the product. That's a giant shift.
yeah.
Uh, just curious, because the platform can be deployed in so many different ways, in so many different situations and verticals, and understand the nuances of each one of them. Is Core AI's business model to be the kind of number one brand provider of this service package, or are other companies coming to Core AI and saying, "Let us embed your technology into our platforms so that you know, we can compete on this level?" Because it seems to me,
Yeah.
just based on how you've described your approach to AI and LLMs and growing them in sensible ways, um, a lot of companies who are in the AI space can't really devote that level of attention to it as you seem to be. I mean, you just secured $150 million in funding. It allows you to do a lot of stuff that other smaller entities couldn't do.
That is true. I mean, because we are an 11th version of our platform, right? We didn't start now. Like most of the AI companies now are starting right now. There's so many AI companies in the last 3 years since OpenAI came up. But we've been in the market. We're in the 11th version of our platform. It is robust now, where people are using this capability not just only to build bots, but our solution capability includes contact center as a service. It includes agent AI. So there is something across the journey, right? So we've made these investments over years. As we see a problem, we started solving it. It's kind of peeling the onion step by step.
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, the goal is how do you provide a solution that is needed from when a customer is reaching out to you from a channel perspective, how they want to talk to you. Because these days, a lot of the younger Gen Zs, they want to talk to you on Snapchat, they want to talk to you on TikTok, right? There's a whole different, demographic that's come up into the workplace now. So having those channels and how the message comes to us, till an agent who actually has to do multiple things. In a case of an airline, you want to change a plane, the agent has to go through a lot of things. You never buy tickets from airlines, but you go to them for support because you're typically buying through OTAs or Expedias of the world. But when the request goes to them, they need to figure out and do a lot of the back end work to understand who is the travel agent for you, what kind of class of ticket you bought. So there's a lot of work that happens on the agent they need to go through and do. So we've solved the problem from the way the end consumers want to talk to the brand into how the customer service people are actually providing support to them. So this entire journey has been thought through, and we've solved it for multiple verticals and multiple functions. From a function perspective, as an IT help desk, right? So you talked about can people resell our platform? So we have companies that provide managed service providers. So they actually use our product and they created an offering from it. Hey, I'm giving you a blend of AI with humans rather than replacing the human, so that the AI and humans are working together in an augmented way
Right.
than replacing the human completely. Because you still need human. Because in a case of restaurant, with I'm sure you have seen Wendy's adopted drive-throughs. It doesn't matter whether you put AI. If I'm a cash paying customer, you still need human to collect the cash at the end,
Right.
right? So
Right.
it's not really eliminating the human. What it is doing is it is giving you more time to do other things, and you're freeing up the bandwidth. It's being productive. It's a tool right now. So similarly, contact center people now are looking for these tools that they don't need to go and look at 10 different screens. Our AI, agent AI is there next to them as a co-pilot, helping them do everything that the customer is saying. All you need to do is say what the customer is saying. The customer is pissed off, you see a sentiment metrics on the top. And if they're really pissed off, the AI will automatically tell you what to say to pacify the customer. So these are the things that we are adding to really transform the experience of the customer experiences from an internal use case perspective, from an external use case perspective, or from an internal use case perspective, if it is an IT help desk or HR help desk, or the recruiter that's looking to hire somebody. So we're solving these internal and external use cases using the same tech stack that is there for both CX and EX.
Picture your organization as a solitary island amidst a vast, churning sea of opportunities. On the horizon lie other islands, relationships waiting to be built, partnerships waiting to be formed. But between your island and those distant shores stretches a turbulent expanse filled with uncertainty and risk. You're going to need a bridge, or bridges, plural, to span this divide, connecting you to new horizons. Those bridges are strategic partnerships. Yet, building bridges and partnerships is no simple task. They both require careful planning, precise engineering, and a deep understanding of the terrain. Missteps can lead to collapse, leaving your business stranded on its island. Tectonic builds strategic partnerships, helping organizations navigate the treacherous waters, ensuring that those bridges are strong and resilient and scalable. There's a reason why some of the largest, most progressive companies in the world are retooling their revenue models and investing in partnerships. Find out more at tectonic.co. That's TECTONIQ.co. So let's say you're a CX or EX leader in your company. You're always looking for efficiencies, operational and fiscal, and you come across Core AI. It's a really, really interesting solution. What does it take somebody like that to kind of pass the considerations test? They're clearly going to be looking at budget. What is the cost of the platform, but cost of integration and time to kind of create the proprietary LLM that'll be dealing with all this stuff. I mean, there's got to be some sort of ingestion, learning, training period, right?
That's right.
Uh, so, let's say I'm picking this out of a thin air. I have no idea whether they are a client of yours or not. Let's say you're New Balance shoes, tennis shoe company here in the States. It's pretty popular, been around for, I think, almost a century. If you're considering something like that as an enterprise retail brand, what are the considerations? And then realistically, how long is it going to take them to really fully integrate this into their systems, into their way of working?
Yeah. So, I mean, it all depends on their current setup. As an example, let's take a retail example. So, we are working with a brand, they sell a lot of watches. So, they're on Shopify Marketplace as a commerce platform, right? So as part of the pre-built solutions, we're already pre-integrating with Shopify. We're already pre-integrating LLMs that knows everything about the product. We have what we call as a search AI platform that allows you to connect to various PIM databases that has all the product marketing documentations. So we ingest all these documents from whatever the source is. It could be a Word document or a spreadsheets or any form of documents or any structured data through a commerce platform. Once we ingest all of this data, then all of a sudden we have the data available. So it's a mix of a RAG and an LLM because the problem with LLM is LLM hallucinates a lot. It depends on how much data you have. So you don't want to put LLM ahead of the time, but you would start with the RAG initially, where you're always providing source of truth. You always have evidence of where you got the information until you see this model is evolved enough so that you can start building your LLM. So it's a journey. I don't expect this to be like a day on, you enable it, it's going to go on. No, it's a journey for everyone. You have to have like a roadmap that's pragmatic enough for you to go start the immediate value. That is why we have these pre-built solutions like retail assist, food assist, travel assist, these assist solutions that are time to value there is less than a month. You can onboard and start seeing the value on it, right? So we have seen customers deploy it quickly, and it is pre-trained with the language that's used in retail. Like, hey, people want to return, they have question about a product. So in retail, it's all about knowing more about the product. I have my concerns. I need somebody to answer my question. Just like how you go to a retail store, you tap somebody's shoulders, ask a question. So digitally, we're creating the same experiences with virtual avatars or chatbots or virtual assistants on their websites. You can ask any question and it will help you. It can look at your CDP, which is your customer data profile, identify, hey, what kind of shoes have you bought in the past? Are you a size 10 or a size 11? So depending on it, we can ask a question. Are you buying it for yourself? Then all of a sudden, I'm ability to reduce the returns so that they don't accidentally order a wrong size, right? So hey, if you're buying New Balance, the shoe size is typically your Nike is about a size 10, but for New Balance, it could be size 9.5 because that
Right.
could be fit, right? So we can start providing those personalization alerts to them so that your outcomes that you're looking at is how do I reduce the returns, which is the bigger problem for any e-commerce company than looking at AI. So it all depends on the use case by use case and where they're in the journey. But we have seen customers anywhere from less than a week to see the value to almost 3 months, depending upon completely custom software, completely custom API. So within 3 months, you'll start seeing the value of the pre-built solutions that we have developed for them.
Remarkable. So truly remarkable. I don't want to skip over that because that's an extraordinarily fast timeline. So I'm aware of your Retail Assist product. I'm aware of your Travel Assist product. And I know you've got several others. What other verticals are you focusing on at the moment?
So we started with banking. So essentially, Bank Assist is our biggest offering. So obviously, we kind of followed the IT spend money trail on AI and who's using AI the most. So financial services is where we started focusing on. After that, we have healthcare, which is the second biggest vertical we have. We started expanding into retail consumer. So for us, retail is all shopping is retail. That includes e-commerce, retail, and CPG. And D2C strategy of manufacturers because every manufacturer is trying to have their own D2C play these days. So direct to consumer. So we're enabling them on the e-commerce strategy. So that is the new vertical. And then travel and hospitality is the next vertical that we have people assigned. And that's how our sales teams are divided into these kind of pockets. And we just recently announced a new vertical called high tech, which is primarily around digital natives looking at adopting this technology for their own internal and external use cases.
Interesting. What would be a typical client for that vertical,
So,
if you will.
take an example of a data center company like Equinox as an example. So they would be a good fit who's digitally native. They're looking this as a tech to sell tech.
Gotcha. Okay. Wow, that's really interesting. Um, side note here, I think frankly, I think we could go on for a couple hours here, but I don't want to blow apart your schedule. But I think we've got enough here to make a good episode for the podcast. Are there things that you would like to address that we have not touched on yet?
No, I think I've covered most of it. I think the bigger thing that I'm interested in talking is for every enterprise customers, one thing that everybody should be worried about is how do you get the next gen talent into your workforce? So Gen Z is coming to workforce, right? So they're all now, born 2000, now they're 24 years old, they're joining the workforce now. So all these people are being born with a smartphone in their hand, at least since they become 7, 8 year old, and they've been
Right.
using okay, Googles and Series, and they're used to this technology of asking a question and somebody doing a job for you. Versus the millennials and Gen Z, Gen X and baby boomers. There are different workforce. So in order to attract this talent, you need to enable the tools that are needed in the workforce for doing their job. Like, hey, I need a chat GPT for my enterprise. Obviously, enterprises are blocking generative AI because they're worried about their data privacy and concerns.
Right.
So this is the time where I see every enterprise have to adopt some kind of an enterprise under four walls, data protected, trusted, and provide these tools. So which is where Core AI is heavily investing in with our EX strategy. We've developed a solution called EVA, which is Employee Virtual Assistant. And that is more about knowledge management of anything that your enterprise has. I do have an NDA with this company. Write me the contract amendment for this particular customer, all internal details. It talks to your backend systems, APIs, and you're conversing with it naturally, whether you type into it or you're talking to it, and it's doing work for you. And it's also helping you do your HR related stuff from benefits, or I want to hire somebody, I want to replace somebody. It talks to all the APIs in the backend within your enterprise and gives you answers. That could be a sales data. What is our sales in California last month? Or it could be, do you have an NDA with this company? Or I need to extend a contract. What was the contract term of that company? Do you have an exit clause? Any question that you have that has enterprise data, today is an email and you follow up on that stuff, or you try to schedule a meeting or find information, or you may have an IT problem you want to get a resolution on, or you may have a HR issue that you need to enroll your benefits on or change your benefit plans. So these days, you don't need to talk to a person. And the Gen Z people, they don't like to talk. Gen X people don't
Right.
want to talk to persons, right? So they want to find out and figure out themselves. So this is a perfect mix where the enterprises have to kind of provide these kind of tools that runs within four walls. And Core has actually come up with that solution with Eva, and we have made investments over the years on HR Assist, IT Assist, Recruit Assist. We're kind of combining all of these things as automation tools and a help desk that comes with it. Because if you still need to talk to people at some level because there is something that you want to find out from, or your hardware is locked out and you need to talk to someone. So
Right.
we've
Right.
enabled all of these capabilities similar to a CX experience where a customer calls for or talks to you for help, and you try to self-service them and they can't help it, then you talk to a support center. Similarly, in the employee side, we're doing the same thing and adopting the same tech. But here you're hypercharging them with all the information that business has for their needs and just answering their question, then exposing the entire enterprise data to them. So one thing I didn't specify in my talk was we are two-time market leader in Gartner Magic Quadrant in conversational AI. And Forrester just announced their latest conversational AI report, and we're number one leader among the leaders, so literally number one in the industry when it comes to the analyst report. And we're working with other industry leaders. So we're expecting to be leader in this space throughout. You can see who's playing in that space from the reports. We'll share the reports with you. You can see who's who in the zoo. So, but in general, Core is definitely leading the pack from a differentiation perspective, vision perspective, execution perspective. Now we're in pretty much every continent with a customer deployment.